Most people are wildly distracted by things that don't matter, things that don't make them happy, things that don't build their life, things that don't make them fulfilled, and things that can actually change their life for the better. The fact of the matter is, if you want to change your life, you have to change your mind. Think of if you wanted to use a 1980s computer, right? A PC with a floppy drive and everything else. You just can't run the programs on it that you can even run now on your smartphone. Wildly different. So you have to upgrade to be able to run better programs. You have to upgrade to be able to run 4K video. You have to upgrade to get the quality of life that you want. The reason why it's so hard for most people to change their mindset and change their mind and change their life is because they become identified with what they think and what they believe. And what I mean by that is that let's take the average person who's, say, 40 years old. The average person who's 40 years old grew up in a family, in a neighborhood, with a school system, maybe some religion, and with certain mentors and trainers around them, right? Coaches, etc. They poured into that person, that child originally, all these thoughts, ideas, beliefs, context, the way they see the world, what's true and what's not true. Did they have a Santa Claus? Did they have an Easter bunny? I don't know. Depends upon what culture they came from. You might not get that if you grew up in Madagascar, but you're more likely to get it if you grow up in Memphis, right? So all of these things that become the foundation of who we are, all these beliefs, thoughts, ideas, education, systems, everything. By the time you're 20, we're running on someone else's beliefs. We're running on someone else's codes. Most of what we believe about ourselves isn't actually true. It's just because we believe it's true. So we operate on that truth. For example, if you have a negative thought in your head about yourself and it's constantly running this negative self-talk, it's probably not you who made that up. You didn't one day say, you know what? I'm a loser. Yeah. No. Probably what happened is that someone said, hey, Jonathan or Susie or Dave or whatever, you're a loser. A peer, someone in school, a parent, a sibling, someone said that, and it was an emotionally tough time and it stuck. Maybe you failed the math test or you missed the winning basket or the goal at the last second and now the whole team is angry at you and you're the loser, right? Whatever. These things happen and then we make sense of that by encoding that into our identity. And it's not true. It's absolutely not true. So for example, we know if you had amnesia, if you were like you're riding your bike and you hit the curb by mistake and bump your head, even though you have a helmet on, you get amnesia. That we can take that person with amnesia and we can feed them information about their life that's accurate, or we can feed them information about their life that's, say, much better, or we can feed them information about their life that's negative, and they'll believe whatever we tell them. So if we say, hey, Steve, you're 40 years old, you had a bike accident, but you were actually a dog catcher. Right? Or you're actually a garbage man, or you were a piano teacher for students, or you taught art, or you're a physicist, or you're an MBA that works in high finance, or you're a Navy SEAL that runs operations for them right now. And then you start telling a little story about each of those roles, the person's mind will begin to reorganize because they have amnesia. They don't remember who they were. They've forgotten their identity. So they've forgotten all the things they believed about themselves. So if we change our mind, we can change a lot of things about our life. We can change our health, our fitness, our diet, our sleep. We can change our mindset. We can change our expectations and beliefs about what we can be, do, and have as a person. We can change our relationships. We can change our education level. We can change our success. We can change how much money we have. We can change how much happiness we have. We can change the way we see the world. We can change almost anything. So the question is, what do you want? What do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? I'm 62 and I want to be more fit. So what do? I decide to go work out at the gym. I decide to find out what nutrition will help me build muscle and strength. I decide to figure out what do I need to be a healthy 75-year-old, right? Strength, stamina, stability, stretch, etc., right? Those are the things I need. So if you examine the area around where you want to grow your life, you can learn, you can improve, you can grow, you can get smarter, you can get wiser, you can get a mentor, you can begin to filter out all the noise and go just for the signal of what you're trying to be and do and have. The biggest thing I want you to know is that who you are being and what you are thinking right now is just a product of the past. And you have the ability to change that. And the first thing we have to recognize is that you are not your thoughts. You're the thinker of your thoughts. You're the being. Have you ever watched yourself think? Have you ever said to yourself, I'm going to think about this now and I'm going to watch myself think? Try it right now. I mean, unless you're driving the car or something, right? So try it right now and just say, I'm going to think about my fitness and my health. What do I think about it? And then see what thoughts come up, because thoughts will bubble up and arise because you've triggered that doorway into that part of your brain and your thinking. You can say, well, what negative self-talk do I have about myself? What are the things I feel I can't do? And then see what comes up. What do I really want in my life? And see what comes up. The fact of the matter is, you are the thinker of thoughts, and you can begin to organize and create the thinking that you want so that you can organize and create the life that you want. I had a guy I used to work with, and it turns out that he was really smart, but he came from a very poor family with very little education. And somehow he realized that if I go to community college, and then if I go to regular university and I get a degree in business, then I can have a better chance at creating the life that I want. So he had an internal shift that his identity wasn't locked in to what he had been trained to do and where he grew up, but that he could go anywhere and become anything. And that mental shift, visualizing and seeing himself being someone different, being like this guy or that guy. And he had heard multiple stories, just like the one I'm telling you, where people had come from almost nothing and become wildly successful and happy with what they wanted to be and do. Take, for example, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger grew up in a house with no running water or bathroom inside as a kid. And he decided, I'm a weakling, but I want to become strong. So he started weightlifting and getting into competitions because he saw these guys, he saw magazines about weightlifters, and he went, wow, I wonder if I can do that. And then he went to the gym and the coach said, yeah, I can teach you how to lift weights. And next thing you know, he says, I want a better life. Austria post-World War II was very poor. And he says, I want to go to America because they have beaches and they have beautiful houses and pools and palm trees. So he wanted to go to California. And he says, I can do this. And then he got to America and he says, you know what? I'm going to become a bodybuilder and famous. I'm going to become an actor. And people said, you can't become an actor. And he said, yes, I can, because I see other people doing it. And that's the key. If someone else can do it, if it's within the realm of possibility for you, then you can change your mind, change your life, and have an entirely different future for yourself, just like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So the first step is deciding that you want to change. That's the first step. Once you've decided you want to change, you need tools and resources and mentoring. That's what we're here for. If you'll look down below, you'll see there's a link to where you can pick up our guide, Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. And read that, download it. And then come back and watch these videos, because we try and sprinkle in a bunch of nuggets, golden nuggets in here, ideas and wisdom and insights that aren't necessarily mine. I read a ton of books and I try and bring them to you. So I'm sort of like the collector and I bring them to you. So grab the guide down below, keep watching the videos, be sure to subscribe, and let's go do this.